What's up, guys? Welcome back to TFGoose Gaming. I'm TFGoose here with Vendetta, and we are bringing you today part 6. Part 6 already. Crazy.
Yay, yay!
Of our Let's Play series, going and building the Arcology. And we are starting off things today in Vendetta's city, Electronica, as he's going to be focusing on the electronic specialization to kick out the 60,000 crates of TVs or just bananas amount of TVs that has to go into the Arcology. And kind of humming right along here, man. You got, pushing 13K an hour right now just on your RCI, and then enough oil. Seriously, like the Beverly Hillbillies are going to come and steal it or something.
They ain't got nothing on this.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's true. I think you're pushing it out much more than they ever did in the little backyard type deal. But
I think the Bushes are jealous of me.
If not, they will be in a little while when your city's like just rolling over in crazy profit from all your trade stuff anyway. But so anyway, at this stage here, this is kind of still sort of the middle and rounding the bend towards the later parts of getting an electronic city going and working towards building a great work, because basically you really have to get up to that higher end trade stuff, right? I mean, it's always going to take, TVs or processors or some crazy amount of some trade thing that you have to submit over into the Great Works to really get anything out of them.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a while to get there. The reason we're at part 6 is just because we didn't want to cut anything out for you guys. I wanted to show you top to bottom. This is how you do it. This is obviously kind of a longer approach, but this stuff does take a little bit of time to get set up. Right there, you saw me demoing my plastic sections because the oil refineries come with the plastic by default. I don't care about plastic. I want fuel. It sells for way more. So why would I waste my oil with plastic? Just doesn't make any sense.
Tis true. That's a good point. I mean, and definitely conserving your space, especially even in like the trade ports and trade depots and stuff that you build. Those tend to come with those little freight docks, right? Or a freight container area.
It does by default, and that's the only thing, actually initially, that's the only thing you have unlocked to start out with, and you have to unlock via the commerce division of either your oil HQ or your metals, or with the trade division, you have to unlock your storage containers, respectively to whatever element you're trying to
kind of build towards, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. That's one thing just to point out, though, that initial freight cargo area that comes with them, you can go in there and demo that thing. I mean,
yeah, you can.
You can open up the editor and get rid of that, and then you'll have actually 4 full lots in a trade depot, or well, actually it goes up to, what is it, 8 lots?
Yeah, I think it's 8 in a trade port.
In a trade port, yeah.
And 4 in a depot. Yeah, I usually let them stick with a storage container just to kind of help my factories out. Although I do think at this time it's currently a little bug still, because some of the factories still complain there's no place to ship freight, and I'm not quite sure. Like, clearly I have trade ports and depots. There are places to ship freight. Get off me.
Right, seriously, like, back off, dude. I definitely got it. Now, we're showing here you got a little bit of a water problem happening, and that's because you're buying water from my Aquavolt Plains city, and you're just kind of starting to overtake the amount that is really available there. And that's kind of indicative of building up a trade city, though. You end up, is it the oil pumping stations actually that just drain water like there's no tomorrow, is that right?
No, it's the refineries I just built.
Oh, okay, the refineries. All right, yeah. So those guys will pull out water, and obviously, I think we've mentioned before, if you guys ever decide to go nuclear power, you better have like an ocean at your disposal.
Yeah, seriously, it takes a ridiculous amount of water. And right there, I just realized that, oh crap, I just built that fuel refinery in the back of my other oil refinery. That was not a smart play.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
That was bad placement on my part, but I tried to squeak 3 of them in there, and that just wasn't happening.
Making the efficient use of space is always a challenge, especially on some of the maps, where you're really, really limited in the amount of flat, kind of hospitable areas, because some of those things have those huge canyons or the mountain faces, the plateaus and stuff on there, and it can make for some really interesting city designs if you want to look for something kind of aesthetically cool. They have their purpose. But if you're going for just the megalopolis, high production trade empire, then you really want to have as much easy, usable land space as you can possibly muster. And that's this type of, this type of map right here is an excellent example.
I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I mean, with the 2x2K city sizes, I'm sorry, but don't put canyons or rivers in my city. That just pisses me off.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's just, it's unusable space, and the city sizes are frankly already kind of small, so, that just detracts from your city even more. It's like, get out of there. Give me a flat space to work with, or make my city size bigger. One of the two. Your pick, Maxes.
Yeah, seriously, roll the dice. We don't care which one, but, and supposedly later on, I guess they might increase the city sizes. That's something that, is on the table, but obviously they need to make sure that their servers are able to handle, the issues that are still plaguing them, at this stage as far as making the game run well on their end. As we were talking about earlier, off camera, that they are starting to turn back on cheetah speed, which, hallelujah, I can't wait till that happens. But currently it's only really only affecting the European servers. So if you're watching us from Europe, congratulations, you either have or are getting back your cheetah speed quite soon. The rest of us here hanging out in the States got to wait a little bit longer, but
garbage. Excuse me. Had a cough there.
Just a little bit. I don't know what happened there, man.
Yeah. If you're on Europe, I think it's Europe West 2 and 6, you guys are lucky. The rest of us have to wait. It's so funny. We were also talking about off camera. It has been so long since I've had cheetah speed. I don't even remember what it's like to play with cheetah speed. It's like this mythical next level of speeddom.
It's an alternate reality version. It's going to be so fast. I wonder if it's going to be like, oh my God, it's moving too fast. I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're just going to snap right back into it when it happens. But man, will it be glorious. So. Glorious when it comes back. So anyway, we flipped obviously back over to Aquavolt here. I am not in my Mineroid city because, as we just mentioned, in Vendetta's city, he's starting to run short on water, and actually sewage was starting to become a problem as well, and power too. So I flipped back over here to start thinking about maybe trying to get something together for a little bit more power and water and sewage generation. And it's important to note here, here, before I even say that, you'll notice the little rail extension right there that's coming into my city. You see that? As far as I can tell, that is completely unusable unless you build out some more tracks. And I just didn't do that right here. I was like, I just wanted to build this right here, and it was ticking me off. And eventually I just said, you know what, whatever, I'll worry about that later, because I didn't want to just demo my entire residential area right there.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of weird that way. I've never seen another map where you really had to extend the rail manually in order to be able to even just place the station. I was sitting there telling myself, it has to work, it has to, and it totally doesn't work.
That's really funny. Yeah, you could alleviated that problem really quickly by just extending the rail.
Yeah, and that's something that, I thought of later. And for some reason, at the time when I was doing it, I just got frustrated with it and decided, screw it, I'm just putting this back. I have other things I need to worry about right now. But that's something I'll fix, obviously, in the next playthrough. But what I was just about to say, though, about the power and water and sewage is something that's actually brought up in some of the comments, and kudos to you guys. Thank you for confirming this. But it seems that when you're sharing resources like this out from one city, it doesn't matter how much any individual city needs to pull. The amount of available resources to each city is exactly proportional between them. So if you're sharing it with one other city, then half of what you're generating is available to that other city. And if you're sharing it between 3 cities, it's a third, and that's it. So, it's kind of janky, honestly. I'm really not sure why they went with that. It seems to me if I'm pumping out, 500 kilowatts of power and, I'm only using 70 and my other city's using 30 and you need 300, then you should be able to have 300,
One would think.
Right, but that is not the way it works. You really have to super beef up, your reserves on this stuff if you're sharing with multiple cities, or else you're going to still find yourself in a shortage situation. So if you're going to go with a larger region, you really aren't going to be able to power and, water and, poop extract everybody off of one single city. You're probably going to have to build at least 2, if not even 3 feeder cities in order to provide everything for that. Luckily, these don't really take that long to get cooking,
Yeah, you're doing a pretty good job here, but I mean, that's a pretty annoying and egregious, distinction, because, I mean, come on, really? If, just because I have 4 cities, but one city only needs, 50 megawatts of power and the other one needs 500, I have to build, 3 times as much power that I actually need. That's dumb.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't know why they went that way. I mean, it seems like it's such an odd decision that it almost seems like some sort of technical limitation. Like, I have a hard time thinking that they made that choice from a design perspective. It seems like maybe they did it because, maybe they just couldn't figure out a way to split it intelligently. The only way the engine would take it is if it was split evenly. I have no idea, and I'm not an engineer, I'm not a coder, guys, so maybe someone can shed some light on that. I'd love to hear some reasoning, but I can tell you from a gameplay perspective, it feels weird, and it's a bit annoying. But knowledge is power, so there you go. Plan on it and just plan accordingly when you're trying to share resources, and you should still be able to provide the necessary resources for your other cities. But, yeah, kind of a bummer. I was kind of perturbed when I figured that out. So
yeah, that's a little disappointing. Man, you love these parks. You crack me up with these.
Oh, dude, don't even talk to me about my little nature, row park here. This $100 park, I can't get enough of this thing. I know you guys probably hate seeing those because I use them everywhere, but it's just like you and your barbecue pits, man. Everybody's got their favorite thing.
I love grilled chicken. Back off me.
All right, so yeah, here's Vendetta City, obviously in some power trouble and waiting, for that excess energy to start flowing in from Aquavolt.
Such a slacker.
You know what? You just saw me placing that thing over there, obviously.
Get on the stick, man. Half of my city's without power.
You know what? Seriously, come over and work in my plant. Then maybe we can get this happening,
No, you work for me. Let's not get it twisted.
Oh, okay, that's right. All right, you're right. My bad. Sorry, I forgot the terms of our agreement there that we never had and wrote down or anything.
Hey, remember that 200,000 simoleons I gave you? I want it back.
You know what? I do remember that, and I think I spent it, on poop pipes and water and stuff. So
that's legit.
I thought you might enjoy that. That maybe you'd like a place to flush. That's, you got to enjoy the little things in life, right?
Yeah, so. Taking a solid deucer is a good one.
Yeah, indeed. So anyway, in the buildings that are working, as you try to remedy some of your power problem while you're waiting on my slacker butt, yeah, obviously, if you have these shut down buildings here, they're not producing anything for you. So he had to take some steps. Guys, the nature of sharing resources is that there is a little bit of lag when it comes to sending stuff to another city, but it is way much better than it was like the week or two after launch.
Yeah, they have. I mean, we kind of knock it. We've been knocking them here, but they really have made it a lot better, a lot easier. But right here, the reason why I did that is because my RCI is tanking because almost all of my factories are offline, and B, my trade is not going anywhere at all. So I'm like, I got to get some power right now.
Right now. It's got to happen. So, and even though you still built that right now, it's taking a little bit of time to actually filter through, to those closed businesses because of power, and that is because of their proximity. I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but power and water consumptions, tend to shut down, from the furthest point away from where the actual building is. You've got one right there, which is kind of strange. It's kind of hanging out really close, but it seems to me that normally the power and water start dropping off from the farthest locations first.
That's correct. That is how it works.
Yeah.
You lose power and water from the furthest locations from either a power or water plant.
Right.
And it was this trade port was being really finicky. It was just not wanting to come back online. It kept complaining about water. I had enough water, or you had enough water there, and I see that the power finally ticked over, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut that down because that's just extra operating expense I don't need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you build stuff like that in a pinch, because it's not really the initial outlay of cash. That stinks. It's a bummer, but over time, that operating cost will just kill you. Over
Right.
the course of the hours, it'll build up and far, far eclipse the initial outlay, of resource, or simoleons that you had to spend to get the building put into place. So if you have to put something like that down because you have a slacker partner who, is taking too long to bring up additional power and water, like me, then then go ahead and put something down. But then definitely, as soon as the resources become available from the other city and your partner in crime there, go ahead and shut down those service buildings, those utility buildings, so that you're not eating, hundreds or even thousands of simoleons an hour in operating costs that you don't need.
Absolutely. That's just kind of a pro tip for, trying to expand quickly. And sometimes when you're building out oil refineries or smelting factories or electronic factories, whatever, you guys get the point. But those factories are going to take a lot more resources than your standard stuff. And also, like, as your buildings increase in density, so do their needs for power and water and sewage. So that's why all of a sudden, everything was fine, but I plopped those two oil refineries down there, and bam, we had a power and water shortage because those take a lot more to power and water respectively.
Yeah, exactly. You can find yourself in a shortage really fast, and if something like that happens to occur at the same time you have, say, like a residential boom, where a big swath of your city, demos all their houses and starts building apartments and condos, because they're ready to increase density, and all of a sudden you have a population boom of 10 or 20,000, Sims, and you're building new factories, then wow, you'll see your consumption go through the roof in a minute. It'll take no time. So you just really have to kind of keep a hawk eye on that. And if you are using a feeder city, like we are here, it's a good idea to go over there and just periodically add to the resources that it's pumping out, even if you don't need them yet. Just try to jump over there, spend a little time in that city. If you're making good money in your current city, send some over to that feeder so that when you switch over to that, you don't have to sit there and wait for the simoleons to tick up, before you can place those, extraneous buildings that you need.
Yeah, that's something kind of we neglected to do as we were talking off camera about that. Goose was telling me, he's like, well, man, I just kept waiting for money, but, it wasn't really rolling in that fast. I'm like, I'm sitting on a gold mine. I could have sent you money. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's something you really have to keep in mind. And again, those transactions do happen faster than they used to. And that's really critical. As we switch over here, I mean, check me out. Yeah, I'm sitting here in the single thousands, of money, even though I'm pulling down 11,000 an hour. I'm using that money almost as soon as it comes in, just because I was continually trying to place more and more upgrades. And of course, while I'm sitting here in this city, my population started to really increase. I needed to expand my mass transit because traffic started to be a problem, and I just ended up having to spend more money on things that I didn't come here to spend money on,
Yeah.
I think I ended up having to put in a second clinic just because there were so many sick people, happening up there in the industry area.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like the city just wakes up. If you don't come over here and use this thing, it'll just sit there and happily pump water, power, sewage to the whole region, for as long as it can until, you meet its capacity. And it never grows, it never has any problems, it's fine. But the second you come over here and start trying to fiddle with it and upgrade it a little bit, then it starts to become an issue. And here I'm using a trick that we actually covered in one of our tips videos. I've reached about 30,000 population, and that's kind of where I wanted this city to grow to. I really wasn't interested in trying to make this one a really big powerhouse, city here, because I didn't want the management of the city to become a real necessary priority for me. I always just wanted to be able to come over here, upgrade the stuff that I needed to upgrade, and then get out. And since I wasn't even able to do that this time, it would only get worse if I left the population to increase. So I'm dezoning all my residential here in the hopes that, in the guarantee really, that none of the residential buildings will increase density now. They will stay exactly as they are, And as long as I don't tick everyone off, then my actual number of Sims living in the city should remain fairly close to the figure that it's at now.
Yeah, and something interesting too, like you were saying, you're trying to put a lot of the tier 2, God, what are they called? Service buildings in, like power, water, sewage, utility. I'm sorry, not service. But the tier 2 service buildings, and those are all really expensive. So I think, that's one reason why you're having to stay over here so long. But yeah, that dezoning trick is really nice because what that allows you to do, I know we've covered this before, but I'll just reiterate real quickly, is you can now upgrade all your roads to high density. So therefore, you're going to increase your traffic flow, or decrease. Well, would it be decrease?
No, I think increase flow. Yeah, decrease traffic
flow.
problems, increase flow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's going to help you all around, and like Goose has said, that'll really kind of, his population should, within, margin of error 4 or 5% stay the same.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, only if they had already started to build a new building right when you dezone, then they're going to go ahead and complete that, and that's something you really can't deal with. Or if there are already any existing apartment structures, then they might fill, and that's okay. But, you really shouldn't see it drop off that much, which is the goal. Again, unless you just make people mad. You start raising taxes too high above that magic, 12, 11, 10 distribution that we've discussed before. If you go above that, people start getting upset and they'll leave. Or if too many people start dying, they hate that as well. Again, the reason I'm, keeping this clinic up to date here. I was having a few deaths, so that's why I built this second clinic, and now it's back down to 0, which is great. That kind of stuff, or if crime's out of control. But
yeah,
as long as you keep them happy, though, the number's going to stay. My RCI is going to stay pretty constant. It's going to be pretty good. And I'll be able to bring it back up and start funding the trade city over there in the way that it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is going to run beautifully. As you guys know, when he's not in the city, it's basically the same as being offline. We've said that many times, but another reason I said, though, interesting about why you placed a second clinic is because in my city, I have about 25,000 more people than you, and I actually think I have quite a bit more factories as well, but I'm getting away with one clinic just fine. So I wonder if maybe my education is a factor. That certainly should help in that department, but I did build a high school at the end of that last clip there, so that's an interesting point.
Yeah, that is a kind of a little quirk there. I'm not really sure. And I thought it was kind of odd that I was having health problems in a city of just this size. But with the amount of money I was pulling down, I just decided to go ahead and place it there. I started thinking maybe it was sort of a traffic issue, maybe like the ambulances weren't getting to people in time or anything. But honestly, the flow in the city is pretty good, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah, and here I just decided, I still needed some stuff, and I think actually you were texting me at this moment saying, I still need more water, I still need this, and I just didn't have the money right away, so I went ahead and just said, you know what, let's just solve the problem right now, because honestly, I wanted to get back over to mineroids, and start getting to the point where I could pump that alloy out that you're going to need here before too long, but yeah. So get this done and start pumping around 1,000 kilogallons of water. That'll help.
That's going to get it done.
Yeah, that's going to do the trick right there, guys. So hopefully, that's only going to be 300 kilogallons per city, but still, that'll work.
Yeah, so with this, guys, we're just kind of winding down here. And we appreciate you guys. We're up to 500 subscribers. We love each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Hugs, teddy bears. All around. Love you.
Internet hugs.
Internet hugs. Yes, exactly. Thank you guys so much for that. And be on the lookout. Of course, we're going to continue this series. I think in the next week here, we've been getting some requests to do a little bit more in-depth, step-by-step instructional on our Make Millions video. So we're going to put that together for you as well. And a couple of other things down the line. So stay tuned, guys. Click the links below there if you missed any of our content or just want to check up on some stuff again. Drop us a comment or tell us what's up. And again, we love you. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.